Step 1, graph the quadratic function, graph the linear, then, find the point of intersection. So if I'm going to do the top one, if I'm doing this one, I want to find the axis of symmetry. So x equals negative 4 over 2a, which is 1. So x equals negative 2. So x equals negative 2. That's going to be here. And if I was to plug in negative 2, I would get y equals negative 2 squared plus 4 times negative 2 minus 1. So y equals 4 minus 8 minus 1. So that's going to get me negative 5. So the point negative 2, negative 5. So negative 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where does it hit the x-axis? Or actually, the point 0, negative 1. So 0, negative 1 is here. That means we're going to have this right here. And then the zeros, there are no factors of negative 1 that add to 4. So it's going to be irrational. Okay, so now I'm going to do this right here. 2, I go 1, 2. I go up 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. Okay. So as I'm looking at this right now, there's a good chance that this is where they're going to run into each other. So let's plug in 1, 2, 3. Let's plug in negative 3 and see what happens. Y equals negative 3 squared plus 4 times negative 3 minus 1. So that y equals 9 minus 12 minus 1. So that would get me negative 4. So the point negative 3, negative 4. Negative 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Right there and right there. So this right here they run into each other at least at this point right here. So their solution for at least one of them is the point negative 3, negative 4. Up above, not sure where they're going to run into each other. So we're looking at 1, 2, let's see, at 2, x squared, y equals x squared plus 4x minus 1. So if I was to plug in a 2, that would get me 4 plus 8 minus 1, 12. That would get me 11. If I was to do 3, that would get me 9 plus 12 minus 1. So that would get me 20. If I plugged in 4, that would get me 16 plus 16 minus 1. So that gets me 31. So now let's plug it into the other equation. So y equals 2x plus 2. So if I was to plug in a 2, that would get me 4 plus 2, which is 6. If I plugged in a 3, that would get me 6 plus 2 is 8. If I plugged in 4, that would get me 8 plus 2 is 10. Not sure where they would run into each other again on the other side. Because if I did 1, that would get me 4. If I did 1 on this one, it would give me 1 plus 4 minus 1. So that's 1, 4. Oh, look there. I just drew this wrong. So 1, I just drew this wrong. It should be going through there right there and not here. Okay. So where do these run into each other? So this is my f of x. This is my g of x. Okay. F of x, when the y value is 0, I get negative 4. Oh, nope, that's the wrong one. When x is 0, I get 3. Because this is 2, this is 4, halfway in between. Okay, so when g of x is 0, so that means here, so that means, I don't know why I have 2 of those. G of x would be, what is that, negative 5? I don't know why I have this. I'm supposed to have 2 for the next one. Where do they run into each other? Here and here. So the point negative 2, 7, and the point 4, negative 5. Okay, so now it wants us to do algebraically. So solve the equation for y. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to get y by itself. So y equals negative x plus 3. I'm going to take this and I'm going to plug it in right here. So negative x plus 3 equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. So I'm going to add x. I'm going to subtract 3. And I get 0 equals x squared minus x minus 6. You can do it all sorts of ways to solve it. I'm going to do this one. What are the factors of negative 6 that add to negative 1? Negative 3 and 2. So x minus 3, x plus 2. So x minus 3 equals 0. X plus 2 equals 0. So x equals 3 and x equals negative 2. And those are the solutions. Okay, next, I'm going to do this one. So subtract x from both sides, get negative 0.5 y equals negative x plus 3. I am going to multiply by negative 0.5, multiply by negative 0.5. I'm going to get y equals 0.5 x minus 1.5. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to plug it in for the y. So 0.5 x minus 1.5 equals x squared minus 8x plus 19. So I'm going to subtract this over. And I'm going to add this over. 0 equals x squared minus 0 plus 20.5. Now, am I going to know off the top of my head what the factors of 20.5 are that adds negative 8.5? No. So I'm going to plug this into the quadratic formula. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so 8.5 plus or minus the square root of, and I absolutely do not know what 8.5 squared is. That is going to get me 72.25 minus 82. I'm going to get, all over 2. And that's going to get me 8.5 plus or minus the square root of negative 9.75 all over 2. The fact that this is a negative sign, you do not know how to do that yet. No real solution. You will know how to do that in the next module. Okay. Awesome. I'm not doing those. Okay.